Hey there, Heather Ho there, Chef Cutter Diamond. Welcome you to yet another Stone Cold Hockey video. We are doing the final regular season matchup of our 1970-71 video, which we've talked about the Montreal Canadiens, see if Ken Brady makes a freaking difference. As of right now, we know for sure Boston is winning the Eastern Division. Montreal and New York are fighting for second place. We kind of figure that the Leafs will be fourth, and then whoever gets a second will get the reward with the Leafs. I know it's weird. It should be 1 versus 4, 2 versus 3, but that's not how 70-71 works. I know for a fact that if it was real in 70-71, the Bruins would have faced the Leafs in the first round, and the Leafs and Rangers would have, the Rangers and Habs would have met in the first round, but not real. So they do the 1-3-2-4 matchup, which is kind of dumb. So Montreal and the Rangers are fighting tooth and nail with 4 games left. The Leafs, I believe, have no chance to catch third place. So the Leafs will be the consolation prize. Whoever wins second will face the Leafs. Whoever loses the battle between us and the Rangers must face Boston. Buffalo, Vancouver, and Detroit are all fucked up. But the good news for Buffalo and Vancouver, they're expansion teams, but they did much better than Detroit. The Dead Things era has arrived. Ha ha ha. Meanwhile, in the West, Chicago all but crushed everyone's hopes. They're above 500. Minnesota is the only team that can possibly be above 500 to be at 500 in the West. Minnesota leads by 5 points over Pittsburgh, with St. Louis and Los Angeles and Philly fighting it out. I think Philly has a sliver chance to catch, but as of right now, Minnesota pretty much has second place sewn up, so Minnesota will have home place. So it's down to Pittsburgh, St. Louis, LA, and Philly, who will try to see who has to face Chicago to face Minnesota in the playoffs. The goal scoring thing: Phil Esposito with 64 goals. Danny Grant's almost got to 50. Ken Hodge Sr. and Dave Keelan had 45. Our best goal scorers, Yvonne Cornway, who's ninth with 35. The assist race, all but over, or with 92 assists. Second place is Sean Belleville and JC Tremblay with 55. Ha 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 ha. We have the second best playmakers. Points wise, Orr won the scoring title with 120. Espo 107. Busick and Hodge are fighting, but I think it's going to be top 4 all Bruins. Sean Belleville 7 for 82. That's not half bad. Penalty minutes, Keith Magnuson crushing it with 297. Dennis Extall 189. Pete Mahovlich, 30 goals scored, but he has 180 penalty minutes. He's third. He's ahead of John Ferguson. He's ahead of Barclay Plager, Richard Fleming, even King Kong Korab. Weird. Goals against wise, Jackman and Espo and Jacques Plante have been playing their hearts out. Our best guys, Myers 7th, Rookies 8th in goals against, which isn't half bad. Let's take a look at the standings. Everyone's has 4 games left, except for Vancouver and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh does have the extra game in hand on St. Louis for the fight for third and probably playing the Blackhawks. I can't remember who the top 4 teams in the West were in 70-71. I know Chicago and Minnesota for sure. But yeah, Pittsburgh still has a chance to try to use the game in hand to avoid St. Louis faulting over them. Yeah, everyone's got 4 games. We and the Rangers are tied, but we have the advantage because we have 44 wins. They have 42. We have 285 goals. That is the second highest in the NHL behind those pesky Bruins. 198 goals against. Well, that's 4th in our division, 5th overall. 26, 4, and 7 at home. 18, 15, and 4 on the road. Boston, look at their home record. 31, 0, and 7. Holy St. Laurent. Our 4 final games. Well, Flashon's 24, 11, and 5. Meyer 16, 7, 5. Dryden's 4, 1, and 1, so he hasn't done that badly. So yeah, we have 4 more games left. Who do we play? We play Chicago. We play Boston twice, Chicago, and the Rangers. So yeah, Chicago. Yeah, we play Chicago. Yeah, we play some tough opponents. We have to play Boston twice, and Boston could fuck us up and give the Rangers second place. Highlights wise, you see that 36 hat tricks. Frank Mahovlich has the last one with that 10-2 drubbing of Detroit. Most memorable games: Boston beating Toronto November 29th, 6-5, when Leafs were up 3-0 and choked it. Bruins 8-4 win over the Kings on December 16th when the Kings were up 4-1 and blew it. And our game against Detroit 7-5 November 29th. So here we go. Let's play some games. March 28th, everyone's playing. Minnesota, big loss to Buffalo. Toronto beat Detroit 6-4. Boston does us a heavy solid by beating the Rangers 4-2. Pittsburgh and Philly tie. Kelly beats Vancouver, but that doesn't matter. So we go to Chicago, and we start Phil Meyer against Tony O, as in Tony Esposito, the former Canadian. He played for the 68-69 Habs. 13 games and got a Stanley Cup ring with them, and then lost to the Blackhawks in the interleague draft. Gary Desjardins, Gilles Meloche, and Ken Brown are your other goalies. For us, Rogie Vachon, Phil Meyer, and Ken Dryden. Well, anyway, we have Roadrunner, Yvonne Cornway, Pistol Pete Mahovlich, Jacques Lemaire, Gentleman Jean Belleville, Mark Tartif, who soon do well in the WHA for the Nordiques. The Big M, Frank Mahovlich, John Ferguson, the policeman, Point 2, Guy Lapointe, Phil Roberto, Henri Pocket Rocket Richard, JC Tremblay, another Quebec Nordique icon in the WHA, Claude LaRose, Regent Peanut Houle, Bobby Sheehan, Serge the Senator Savard, Leon Rochefort, Terry Harper, Larry Plow, a WHA icon, Jacques Laperriere and Pierre Bergeron, both youngsters. Chicago has Bobby Hall, the Golden Jet, the Golden D, I guess they call him, Dennis Hall, Stan Mikita, who became one of the most clean players after a while, Pitt Martin, part of that big Boston-Chicago trade that saw Chicago get burned on Phil Esposito, Chico and the Man Mackey, Chico Time Mackey, Jim Papan, former Leaf, Brian Campbell, not the defenseman, Cliff Coral, Jerry Pinder, Dan Maloney, future King and Leaf, Lou Gotti, Eric Nestorenko, like on the 60s, Pat Stapleton, great defenseman of the 70s, Bill White, part of the 70s, also part of the 7 Series 72, King Kong Korup, before he went to Buffalo, Danny O'Shea, Keith Magnuson, unfortunately died because of a car accident involving Rob Ramage, Doug Jarrett, Paul Schmier, WJ icon, Larry Romanovich, Rick Foley. Here we go. 4 minutes into the game, a chance for Frank? No. 3 minutes later. Action on their part. Coral? No. Then a few seconds later, a micro-aggression, and we get bit. Roberto. Of course he does. Transfer Dennis Hall. Oh, stop by Meyer. And Coral could not believe his luck. Adesio, the Golden Jet, the 41st from Stapleton and Campbell. Bobby Hall. He got penalized. Valuable for 2. Him of all people. Makita can't do anything. Maloney can't do anything about it. Another penalty arose. Damn it. Why are we taking penalties? But we killed the zone again. He's in the zone. Auto zone. That should help us. Nope. Dan Maloney. And so it's not Maloney, it's Maloney. From Coral and Shannon. Much later. They're killing the clock. Started the 21st from Campbell. Wow. Oh, St. Laurent. Dennis Hollister from Nestorenko. Brian Campbell. Look at this. They have nothing to lose. They are the ones in the East. The West. We're fighting for the 2 seat. We're down 4-0. I know what I'm going to do at the end of the period. Nestorenko. Yeah, fuck this. Dryden's gonna have to come in. How the hell are we losing 5 now? We're getting no chances. Dennis Hall stopped by Dryden. There's a fight, and it's gonna be Cornway Magnuson. Magnuson, yeah, but Cornway? Damn it. I think they purposely forced our best guy to sit. Dennis Hall stopped by the octopus. Phil Roberto tried to score, but he can't. Mahovlich. And Pitt Martin, his second away from the last evening, 6-5. Now, did we get ass whipped? With 19 seconds left, Jacques Lemaire puts up 30. Bella will assist. Too little, too late, guys. We lose 6-1, so we can't take advantage of the Rangers losing. Although we're up by 2 wins, so that should help us. At least we don't have to play Chicago again. Man, I can't believe we got our asses whipped. That. Vancouver, Minnesota. For Minnesota, big win for them, 2-1. St. Louis shuts out LA 6-0. Everyone's playing, I guess. We play Boston, we're in trouble. Minnesota, big loss to Cali. LA beats Vancouver. Chicago does as a solid by beating the Rangers. Buffalo beats Pitt, and Toronto crushes Detroit. So yeah, so Chicago did us a favor. Well, Boston did us a favor against the Rangers. Now it's reversed. And now it's Phil Meyer against Eddie Johnston. Cheevers in the midst of having those stitches painted on his mask there, but Phil Meyer in the net. You got Espo, the goal scoring icon, who Chicago gave up too much. Johnny Busick, the Chief, Ken Hodge Sr. I have to reiterate because Ken Hodge Jr., I have his hockey card from the 91 Bruins when he scored 30 goals and then he had no thing left. Bobby Orr, number 4, Bobby Orr. Pi McKenzie, Derek Sanderson, who was well liked, but then he got so wound up on spending his money that he ended up sleeping penniless on a bench before Bobby Orr and crew helped him out. Ed Westfall, future Islander icon. Fred Stanfield, Wayne Carlton, Wayne Cashman as I called, Donnie Marcotte, Dallas Smith, Ted Green, who the previous season had to miss the year because he was injured in that stick-swing incident with Wayne Mackey of the Blues. Don Aubrey, Ricky Smith, Mike Shecker-Walton, former Leaf, Reggie Leach before he was a Flyer icon, Ace Bailey, not that Ace Bailey from the 1930s, Ace Bailey the second from the LA King, was the LA Kings scout when he died on 9/11, and Bill Spear. Those are the non Aubrey. So Aubrey Security, do we have a chance? Mahovlich, stopped by Johnston. And we get penalized. 0.2, nice job. Boston takes Esquior. Power play go. Ken Hodge Sr. has 46 from Sanderson and Marcotte. 5 minutes later, and a chance for Mahovlich. No. Much later. Mahovlich is 45 from Lafayette. 3 minutes later. Coming in Boston, it's Crashman. Can you take advantage? I thought the big end was going to take advantage, but no. Boston's only lost 7 games. That's amazing. And Lemaire could not score. Fuck. The Roadrunner has 36 from Joel and Hunter 16-1. 3 minutes later. They take it at skills. It's not unusual to be loved by everyone. Do the Carlton dance. Wayne Carlton is 16 from Bobby Orr. 93 assists. That's sick. Nobody's got 93 points. Much less assists. Sanderson with the 32nd assist. And they'll have to get rid of Johnston for Cheevers. He'll be okay. Boston takes the Skier. Power play goal. Crashman, his second of the night from Westfall and McKenzie. 3-2. 3 minutes later. A hit. A powerful hit. 3 minutes later. No shot from Espo. Much later. It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. He'll do the Carlton dance. From Dallas Smith and Stanfield. 4-2 Boston. Cam Dredden's coming in the net. 5 minutes later, into the third, we give a hit. 2 minutes later. Belleville and .2 with the assist. 4 minutes later. Boston Jet Skiers throw the hats on the ice. Bink. Just one hat. As Cashman gets a hat trick or Music with the assist. 5-3. They're trying to finish off. 0.2. And Bobby Orr scores on the power play from Hodge and Esposito. Who knew Esposito could pass the puck? 6-3 Boston. Yeah, we're pretty much done. Yeah, Boston did us a favor, and we lost to the Blackhawks. But Chicago did us a favor. We lose to Boston. What is going on here? Boston and Chicago look pretty strong, I guess. So, standings. 2 games left. Well, Minnesota only has 1 game left. They are locked into second. Chicago's locked into first. Pittsburgh and St. Louis have 3 games left. LA only has 2 games left. So LA pretty much has to win both and hope for mistake, especially by St. Louis. They can't catch Pittsburgh, but they can catch St. Louis. Pittsburgh has a 1-point lead on St. Louis for third and a date with Chicago. St. Louis would be forced to play Minnesota. Yeah, Philly's pretty much out. So LA has to win both their games or else it's split spill. Toronto actually can kind of catch. Oh, no, they can't catch. Even though they win 2 games, get 99 points, and Montreal and Rangers both fall, they only have 40 wins. So Toronto is due to face whoever takes second place, and we're still second. The next day, Pittsburgh goes to Buffalo. Right. And well, there's the fight for third, and Pittsburgh beats Buffalo 4-3. That's a big one. St. Louis beats Philly, so that's a big one because that pushes those two teams to 69 and 68 points. They can't catch, yeah, they can't catch Minnesota because even if Minnesota. All right, so Friday, Vancouver goes to California. That game is meaningless. California wins 3-2, so we'll have to play back-to-back nights. Chicago crushes Detroit in the fine powder 8-1. Cali beats LA. That's a big win. That's a big win, especially that's a big win because guess what? That automatically means that we know it's Chicago, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, St. Louis in the West. We know it's Boston, Montreal, Rangers, Toronto. But yeah, St. Louis now can breathe a sigh of relief. But they're only 1 point back for third. Minnesota, Philly. It was Philly crushing Minnesota 6-3. Pittsburgh beat St. Louis 1-0, and Toronto beats Boston 5-3. But it was in Toronto. So what does that mean? That means Pittsburgh has sewn up third place, right? Yeah. They can win and tie Minnesota points, but Minnesota has 29 wins. So we know it's going to be Chicago, Pittsburgh, and Minnesota, St. Louis in the playoffs. Now comes the hard part. It's us against the Rangers. We need to win. This is practically, it's Dryden versus Jacquemin. So Ken Dryden's in the net. They want him to start against Jacquemin. Good. Let's see. So second place. So the second place gets Toronto. Third place will have to face Boston. We can't fuck up to the Rangers. A tie will help because we got wins. They have Davey Bowland, Raja Bear, who was a star for the Guelph hockey team, but then he slipped on an ice cream container, so that was not good. Walt Kachuk, Kitchener. Gentleman Jean Rotel, Vic Hadfield, who just had to throw Bernie Perron's mask in the sands in that 71 playoffs in real life. Bob Nevin, who scored the overtime goal that sunk the Leafies. Terrible Ted Irvin, known for his son being Chris Jericho. Pete Stamkowski, the Polish rifle, former Leaf. Bruce McGregor. Jimmy Nielsen, the chief, I think that's called him. Brad Park, before he was Supernova. Bill Fairbairn. Jack Eagers. And Rod Sealing, Kitchener. Rod Stewart for Blue and Leaf. Tim Horton, Bear Hugs and Bear Claws. Glenn Saver, yes, that Glenn Saver. Andre Mustupa before he went to the Flyers. Larry Brown, not the basketball coach or the Super Bowl 30 MVP. Dale Rolfe was there, Jim Kulicki, and Ab DeMarco. Let's see what we can do. Everybody was a team Roberto. But we killed the stone on Eagers and Sealing. That gets you the connection. Double hit. 5 minutes later. Rangers take a shot. Hatfield? No. We stopped them. We have a chance. Hatfield stop the bleeping octopus, as Espo puts it. And we have a chance. Ferguson. Stalled by Jacquemin. Yikes. No score through 20 minutes. We have to win. A win would be nice. Yeah, that's right. If we beat the Rangers, then no matter what the Rangers do, they can't catch us because we have the tiebreak. 5 minutes later. Harper? No. Another 5 minutes. Double hit. 3 minutes later. Rangers McGregor. Oh, no, you don't. They score. Gentleman Jean Rattel from Jimmy Nielsen. 1-0. Oh, boy. So, yeah. 1-0. 4 minutes into the third, and a chance scores. There's Nielsen from John Martel. It's now 2-0. It looks bad for us. 2 minutes later. Pistol. Mahavich. His face is 150 1. And? Pressure? We get penalized. point, but we did hurt their attack and power play. But it didn't work. Bob Nevin from Fairbairn, 3-1 Rangers. We're in trouble. Also, Brendan Major Eagers is off. So we can score as many times as we can. Well, there's one. That's Lemaire from Cumberland Cardiff. Makes it 3-2. No shot. Chance for us, JC Tremblay. Oh. Well, we've got one. That's the time. Yeah. From Cardiff and Seattle. Cardiff scored a fifth. 3-3. Rangers can have this tie. They can't. Actually, no, a tie help. A tie doesn't help. A tie screws things up. No! Fallon thought he was going to score. No. The Rangers and Habs tie a 3-3 tie. 5 goals in the third period. The Rangers must feel pissed off. Tired of 3 assists. Rangers and Habs tie. That means that, well, it is still a tie for second place. We take a look at the standings. Everyone plays one game except for Minnesota and California. Pittsburgh can tie Minnesota, but Minnesota will have more wins, 29-27. So that's why Minnesota will be the 2 seed. So Pittsburgh goes to Chicago, St. Louis goes to Minnesota. Of course, California sucks, but Detroit would have been the number 1 overall pick, and they would have taken LaFleur. Maybe not. Well, we tied the Rangers. We're both at 100 points. So if we win against Boston, which is a top order, it's Boston, then we're the 2 seed. Otherwise, we have to face Boston in the playoffs. Yick. Toronto can't catch the Rangers, so Toronto is definitely 4th place. So Toronto plays Chicago and loses to Chicago 5-2. The Rangers easy win. Yeah, 4-2. So we have to beat the Bruins. A tie doesn't help. Buffalo and Philly tie. St. Louis beats Pittsburgh 3-0, and LA and Vancouver tie. But yeah, so now we have to go to Boston, who has not lost in regulation, and Rogie against Cheevers. So this is it. We have to beat Boston. A win, we take second place and face those pesky Leafs. If we don't, if we lose or tie, we have to face Boston in the playoffs, like in real life. Yuck. 3 minutes into the game. Good. Bailey. We score! Power play goal. Tardif. His 20th from Pete, Bobage, and Lemaire. 1-0. Much later, aggression. Target for 2. Oh boy. Let's go. They killed the zone with Stanfield. Good. Aggression. They get aggressive. It's Sanderson. Do we take a chance? Bobage? No. Search for no. Fabior? No shot. Much later. A fight between Tardif and Ulrich. Well, Boston did that on purpose to ruin us because Tardif is a goal scorer. Number 4, Fabior. Esco and Stanfield makes it 1-1. Near the end of the period, they penalty on LaPlante. Tied at 1. A tie doesn't help. Let's go on Sanderson, 2-1. Much later. Aggression? It's Dallas Smith. Can we take advantage? No, we can't. Esco does it again. Bring them tie. 3-1. Looks like we're going to beat Boston yet again. 3 minutes later. Bashman does it again. We have to hack it in Montreal and score for time. Sanderson. Well, our pipe dreams are over. We had that late swoon, and that's cost us second place. And Carlton does the Carlton dance. And all we did Sanderson for 5-1. Well, they're just that damn good, I guess. They lost. They were 57, 14, and 7 in real life. They're going to be 57, 8, and 13 in this simulation, meaning that 6 losses turned into ties. And Mahovlich to the box. But at least we killed that penalty. And Mosquito, Cornway has 37 from Belleville, makes it 5-2. Marcotte had a chance, but he missed. Yes! From Cardinal. They're just that damn good. Takes the penalty. No shot by Hodge. They now need to. And Boston crushes us 6-2. We were up 1-0. We were in the lead for 13 minutes, but it didn't work. Boston Cutchy 6-2. So what does that mean? Well, it means that the Rangers take second place and will face those pesky Maple Leafs. Because it's 1 versus 3, 2 versus 4. We had more wins than the Rangers, but they had fewer losses. We had that swoon near the end of the fucking year. Chicago won. Minnesota takes second. Pittsburgh nipped St. Louis at the line for third to go to Chicago, and St. Louis will now have to face Minnesota. Although St. Louis won more games, Pittsburgh had 19 freaking ties. LA's nipped Philly for fifth. Not that it matters. Goal scoring. Phyllis Basilio with 68. Danny Grant, congratulations, 50 goals. He's in the playoffs. Ken Hodge Sr. and Davey Keon both with 47. Cornway 9th with 37. Pete Mahovlich 10th with 36. Jacques Lemaire 15th with 31. Assist wise, Ord 95. Belleville took second in the assist race with 58. Tremblay 56. Bruzek 53. Points wise, Ord with 126. Espo with 114. Ken Hodge 96 points. Buzek 95. Dave Keon was close 93. John Belleville had 85 point season, 7th place. Not bad. In the scoring race, Pete Mahovlich 17th with 68 points. Tracy Tremblay 20 for 65. Penalty minutes wise, Magnuson crushed it. Hank Hextall took second. Barclay Plager at the buzzer takes Pete Mahovlich for third in the penalties. Espo, Jackman, and Plant, all good goalies. Cheevers and Johnston were 5-6 in the goals against thing. Well, Jackman and Vermeulen looked pretty good. Our guys, Brogy, 9th, Fire, 10th, and all that stuff. So, yeah, teams-wise, Rogie 24, 12, and 5. Meyer 16, 9, and 5. Dryden 4, 1, and 2. Pretty good mark. Schedule-wise, we were 44, 22, and 12. Yeah, we had that. We kind of had that swoon near the end. Between, well, a win over Cal, February 13th, to March 3rd against Pittsburgh, we actually ended up with a tie loss, tie loss, tie loss. So we ended up with 3 points out of 6 games, which cost us in the long run. I mean, 1 losses were big. Like Chicago, Boston, okay. The Rangers, that was costly at the end. St. Louis shouldn't lose it to a team in the West. Pittsburgh, yeah, they lose 6-4 to Pittsburgh. That sucked. Vancouver on home ice lost to those guys. So yeah, so we go to the playoffs. Yep, it's 1-3 versus 1. So it's Boston, Montreal, Minnesota, St. Louis, Chicago, Pittsburgh, Rangers, Toronto. So we'll worry about the quarterfinals the next video. And Daniel Hallam, Jeff Diamond, hello.